Howdy! In this mini lecture we will discuss risks in relation to environmental health and toxicology and compare philosophical approaches to risk. The student learning objectives of this mini lecture are: explain what is involved in risk assessment and risk management, and compare philosophical approaches to risk and how they relate to regulatory policy. Some, but not all chemicals, go through toxicity testing. The steps between collection and interpretation of toxicity data and development of policies to regulate the chemicals are referred to as risk assessment and risk management. Risk assessment is the quantitative measurement of risk. Risk assessment compares risks involved in different activities or substances. It identifies and outlines problems and helps determine which substances and activities pose health threats to people or wildlife. Risk assessment consists of hazard identification and toxicity characterization, which is a scientific study of the chemical. Scientists would ask questions such as, does the substance have toxic effects? And how do these effects vary by exposure? This information comes from dose-response curves. Risk assessment also involves assessing an individual or population's exposure to the substance or the extent of the exposure. This process considers things such as frequency of exposure, concentration of exposure, and duration of exposure. Risk management are the decisions and strategies to minimize risk. In the U.S., the following federal agencies manage risk: Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. In the formation of risk policy, scientific assessments are considered with economic, social, and political needs and values, and risk management includes cost and benefit analysis. In short, the steps to creating chemical policy start with risk assessment, which includes toxicity testing and collection and interpretation of data. After the risk is assessed, the next step in creating chemical policy is risk management, which consists of assessing and managing risk. Finally, after the risk assessment and risk management processes are complete, chemical or risk policy is formed. There are two general approaches to managing risks: innocent until proven guilty approach and precautionary principle. The innocent until proven guilty approach assumes a substance is harmless until it is shown to be harmful. This approach favors technological innovation and economic activity. The downside with this approach is that it allows substances which may be dangerous to be used. When this philosophy is followed, new substances are brought to the market relatively quickly, after limited testing. Products reach consumers faster, but a fraction of them, represented in this slide by blue bottles, may cause harm to some fraction of the people. The precautionary principle assumes a substance is harmful until it is shown to be harmless. This approach identifies troublesome toxicants before they are released into the environment, but using this philosophy may impede the pace of technology and economic advancement. This approach brings substances to the market cautiously, only after extensive testing. Products that reach the market should be safe, but perfectly safe products, represented here by purple bottles, will be delayed in reaching consumers. The philosophical approach taken obviously affects policy. The European Union largely follows the precautionary principle, while the U.S. follows the innocent until proven guilty approach. In terms of chemical policy, the European Union has the REACH program, which stands for Registration, Evaluation, Authorization, and Restriction of Chemicals. This program shifts the burden of proof for safety to industry. Under REACH, 30,000 chemicals will have to be registered with the European Chemicals Agency. REACH will cost industry $3.8 to $7 billion over 11 years. However, the health benefits will be $67 billion over 30 years. The U.S., on the other hand, has the Toxic Substances Control Act of 1976. Under this law, the EPA monitors chemicals made in or imported into the U.S., which amounts to be about 83,000 chemicals. The EPA can ban substances that pose excessive risk, but many health advocates think the law is too weak. Industry screening is minimal, and the burden to prove the chemical is safe is on the government. This presents a vicious catch-22 scenario. To push for more testing, toxicity must already be proven, but testing is minimal to begin with. Consequently, only 10% of chemicals have been tested for toxicity, and less than 1% are regulated. Almost none have been tested for endocrine, nervous, or immune system damage. For this reason, consumer choice is very important. Federal agencies involved in tracking and regulating synthetic chemicals include the FDA, which monitors food, food additives, cosmetics, drugs, medical devices; the EPA, which regulates pesticides and synthetic chemicals not covered by other laws, and OSHA, or the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which regulates workplace hazards. That concludes the mini lecture on the movement of risk assessment and management. Please review the weekly outline and complete the activities for this week per the schedule set forth in the outline. Thanks and gig 'em!